Hi there everyone, and let's check out another fantastic chess game by the magician from Riga, Mikhail Tal. So this chess game was played in 1992 in Spain in the Barcelona chess tournament. So Mikhail Tal's opponent Vladimir Akopian was 2 times Armenian chess champion, chess grandmaster, a very strong chess player. So let's see what happened in this chess game. Tal starts the game with e4, c5, so at this time Mikhail Tal was dealing serious health problems and yet he could still bite. So knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5, and this is of course the Sicilian defense, and bishop to b5 is the Rossolimo variation of the Sicilian defense, so d6 and Tal castled, bishop to d7 and then rook to e1, knight to f6 and c3. So planning to push the d pawn to d4, a6, and bishop to a4, c4, and gaining space. But Mikhail Tal still pushed the pawn d4. And Mikhail Tal is also gaining space in the center. White has strong pawn center. So the c-pawn's reign lasted very shortly, as Akopian didn't want to give Tal strong center en passant. So bishop to g5, developing the bishop, delayed gratification, not capturing the pawn, and then e6, and finally capturing the pawn, bishop to e7, and then look at this. This is interesting actually. Mikhail Tal is giving up the bishop. Bishop takes on f6, and then g takes on f6 for damaging the pawn structure, but pluses and minuses, giving up the bishop. If bishop takes on f6, of course, queen takes on d6, and we see no compensation for black for the pawn. So white is a pawn up. Okay, so in this position, bishop takes on f6 by Mikhail Tal, giving up the bishop. And then look at this incredible bishop takes knight, giving up the other bishop as well. And Mikhail Tal is giving up his 2 bishops, but generally it is known that 2 bishops are stronger than 2 knights, but we also know that 2 plus 2 equals 5 in Mikhail Tal's chess games. Tal sometimes like to break the general principles with making crazy looking risky moves. That's why people enjoy watching Mikhail Tal's chess games. So we have bishop takes on c6 and giving up the bishop pair to black. What is white's achieving? So c4 by Tal, simply making room for the undeveloped knight. So black castled, and knight to c3, king to h8. Akopian wants to use the open g file for the attack on the white king. So rook from a to d1 and rook to g8 as expected, and then queen to e3. So this pawn is pinned. Tal can also push the pawn, so black can take. So basically moving away from the d file and planning to play queen to g7 and then checkmating Tal. What a plan. A simple looking plan against Mikhail Tal. So knight to d4, and we have rook to c8, f4, bishop to d7, and b3, simply defending the c pawn, and bishop to d8. The bishop is on his way on b6 maybe. So knight to f3, and then b5. So queen to h7 by Tal. And this seems like a difficult move to deal with for black, as there is double trouble, both attacking the bishop and at the same time attacking the pawn. So how to deal with this? It seems like a stressful position for black. So Akopian played bishop to c7 and dropping the pawn, and then b takes on c4, and maybe he's hoping that Tal is going to capture the pawn and Mikhail Tal is going to have an isolated pawn. But in this position, instead of winning a pawn, Tal pushed the pawn. But of course, queen takes pawn would be the worst move, of course. I'm saying this for the beginners, to the beginners, because then we have bishop check and then winning the queen. So Mikhail Tal played b4. So instead of grabbing the pawn, he is creating a passer. And Mikhail Tal has 2 connected pass pawns. Queen to g7, threatening checkmate. g3, simply defending. and then pushing the pawn, liberating the bishop, so attacking the pawn. This g pawn is pinned, but Tal captured the pawn. Bishop takes on f4, threatening maybe bishop takes on g3, but king to f2 by Tal. A very good necessary defensive move. A very good defensive move, but when the right time comes, Mikhail Tal is going to attack his opponent. So we have f5, so liberating the queen as well and attacking the knight. So in this position, you might also ask what happens if bishop takes on g3. Isn't this dangerous for white? But then simply h takes on g3, and then queen takes on g3, king to e2, and the king is safe, and black didn't achieve anything. He didn't achieve much in this position, as you can see. How is black is going to defeat white? In this position, white is basically a piece up. So, okay, this is why Akopian is not capturing the pawn. That would be very risky. And then Tal played pawn takes bishop, and then queen takes knight. And here comes a very important move for white. What would you do if you had the white pieces? Can you guess the next move? A pretty strong move for white. Actually, there is a very good move in this position. Okay. So let me wait 3 more seconds because it's not very obvious in this position. Okay, queen to d6, exclamation point, and this move creates all kinds of trouble for black, both attacking the bishop with tempo and looking at e5, and this is giving white a very important tempo. And black has dark square weakness, so defending the bishop with attacking the rook, but Mikhail Tal was going to play this move anyway. Rook to d4, blocking the queen, and he's planning to check the king and saying hello to the king. And it is going to be a very difficult threat to deal with. So defending and blocking the queen and looking at e5. So we have rook to g7. And Tal simply captures the pawn, also clearing the d file, and we have bishop to c6 and threatening checkmate in 2 moves. So actually threatening checkmate in 1 move, capturing the knight, checkmate. Where is the king going? Tal played knight to g5, so defending with the knight, but here comes rook takes on g5 by Akopian, and now he's threatening checkmate in 2 moves. So queen to f3, after Tal checks the king. So if capturing the rook, then queen to f3, and then king to g1, and then queen to g2 is going to be checkmate, I believe. So in this position, instead of capturing the rook, Mikhail Tal played check. But in this position, if something like f6, then can you see what white can play here? Queen to d8, of course. So this is what Mikhail Tal was planning to play actually. If rook takes, then rook takes, and then rook to g8, then check, only move, check, and black is getting checkmated. There is no defense. And in this position, if pawn takes, then we have queen to e5, and also threatening rook check and then winning the queen. It is going to be a discovery attack to the queen. So if checking the king, then we can block with the rook. So queen takes on b4 doesn't work because of knight takes on e6 and the rook is pinned, and this is losing. Okay, so we have bishop to c6 and then knight to g5, rook takes, and again if capturing the rook, white is getting checkmated in 2 moves, but Tal played check. And we have rook to g7. It is getting complicated because if you move the king, then we have pawn takes, and if moving the king, then check, pushing the pawn, discovered check, double check. So king to g6, capturing, checkmate. And in this position, blocking with the rook, after king to g8, capturing the pawn, and if king takes pawn this time, then we have check, and then capturing the rook with check, and black is going to get checkmated very soon actually. So he's going to get checkmated by force. So after checking the king, we have blocking with the rook. This is why not moving the king, because black is losing by force. And then Tal played. I mean, it should be easy. What would you do? Of course, rook to d8, and this is winning the queen. Nothing works for black. Incredible, isn't it? So that's check, and this is also a discovery attack to the queen. What else? Capturing, and then Tal chops the queen off, and white is a queen up. So we have f6 and then e7, and this passed pawn is also very dangerous. So rook to a8 and then simply capturing the pawn. Bishop to e4, defending the bishop, and then rook to g1. And actually there is no reasonable defense in this position, both attacking the rook, and he also has a passed pawn. But for some reason, instead of resigning, Akopian played rook takes on a2, but Tal played one of the most epic moves in his colorful chess career. He played king to e1, and after this move, only then Vladimir Akopian resigned. And did you know the pawn for this chess game? Well, it is because the king epically returns to his throne, to e1. This game's pawn is the king returns home, or the return of the king. We can call this chess game the return of the king. So literally the king returns home, and Mikhail Tal, as the king of attacking chess, returns on the chess scene. But sadly he has passed away in the same year of 1992, unfortunately. What an epic chess game, and what an epic final move by Mikhail Tal. So the possible continuation, the rook is pinned, threatening to capture the rook, checkmate, or pushing the pawn. So black really has no defense, so rook to a1 only for prolonging this. So queen takes, and then c3, and then queen check, only move, and then boom, knockout, checkmate. And I would like to take your attention to this moment of this chess game. Did you know that all of Mikhail Tal's moves until the final move of this chess game were the top engine moves? His health was deteriorating terribly. He had serious health problems, and yet he played pretty strong chess actually. So first move, queen to d6, the best move. And then rook to d4, the best move. Pawn takes, the best move according to the engine. This also opens the d file. As you know, Tal simply push his rook all the way to the end and then win the queen. And then the best move again, the best move, the best move, and all these moves were the best moves by Tal. I mean, simply amazing. Even though he was not healthy, he was suffering big time because of health problems, but he was still playing very, very impressive, accurate attacking chess. So, okay, what an incredible, epic, brutal finish. A Tal game from 1992. And I'm going to show you many more Mikhail Tal chess games in these days. So thank you so much for watching, and stick around if you want to enjoy more of Mikhail Tal's chess games. Do take care, stay safe, and bye bye.